everybody. Welcome to a brand new podcast, the very first podcast. I'm Scotty V, and I got a very special guest with me. I have Melissa. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, to let you know, Melissa is the very first woman ever to be on the Civil Canadians. So, you
Hey,
have that honor and that title, okay?
thank you.
So you can rub it into other people's faces once this channel
Yeah,
becomes like millions of views and followers.
yeah. Just don't forget me.
Trust me. We won't forget. The internet won't forget. So the first thing we're going to talk about is basically our experiences working in retail. Um, there's been other things we can talk about, but I think this is more generic to talk about because a lot of people worked in retail and they know how to relate, sort of thing, right? Okay, so I'm going to start
Yeah.
off with you. I'm going to
Mhm.
start off with you. What kind of experiences do you have working in retail?
Okay, well, like retail to me is like clothing, but like let's branch out. Like I've worked grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
I've also worked with Santa, which is weird, but yeah. I've never worked retail, like clothing store, just because I don't think I can handle it, but applauds to you who do it. Um, yeah. Grocery stores, they're kind of like retail. Would you consider it retail?
Yeah, because they sell
Uh,
other things as well, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've worked there. I don't really have like really a lot of experience in retail, but yeah.
Right. How long have you worked in the grocery store?
Let's see. I was young, so I was like 18, maybe like 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody knows where I come from. I come from working from Walmart for 8 years, okay? I don't know what the hell I was thinking working there for 8 years. But I give it to those who's been working there for like 20, 30, friggin' 40 years. I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah.
I know times were different, but that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a story about my very first shift working at Walmart, okay?
Okay. Okay.
You won't believe what happened. Okay, so it's my first shift. I would say it was around 3:30, 4 o'clock. I was thrown into the electronics department. Okay,
Mhm.
I know my electronics. I know TVs and I know computers and all that stuff. But I didn't know how the Walmart system work. Right. So I don't know what should I do if someone wants to buy something, or the whole shebang.
Mhm.
So there was two people working in the photo center. So the photo center is right next to where I was working. I went there, and the photo center was packed. I don't know why people still develop pictures when everybody has freaking digital cameras and phones and all that kind of stuff. So I went to the people working in the photo center. There was two of them, and I asked one of the girls for help. I'm like, "Hey, can you help me? Because I don't know what really to do. It's my first shift." Some old grumpy lady. I don't know if I should categorize her as a Karen, but she was so rude to me. She was like, you know, there was 30 other employees I saw walk by, and you had to come here for help. I just looked at her. I'm like, dude, it's my first day. I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. I literally told the lady, I don't know what I'm doing. And
Mhm.
the lady's like, you know what? I don't care if you know what you're doing, if you've been here 5 years, 10 years, 1 month. You don't come here and interrupt me. I'm like, bro, hold on. I'm like, I need help. And she's like, I don't care. I'm going to call your manager and make sure you get fired. I'm like, are you bloody kidding me?
Wow.
So that was my first shift. But I have many stories. I can make a movie out of this, okay?
I'm sure.
I
That's bad.
my first shift, and that's why, like, my first 4 years working there weren't so bad. We had
Yeah.
somewhat decent managers and somewhat decent employees. Somewhat. Some were like really crackheads. I don't know why you would get crackheads in Vaughan, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
So that was my first ever customer. On top of that, I was like, holy crap! Like, what the hell am I getting myself
Yeah.
into? Right?
Traumatizing. So I had one manager. I won't say where they work because I'm still friends with people from there. But
Sure.
yeah, everything. She was cool, but like you could tell she wasn't like all there in the head.
Mm-hmm.
So Working with her, we had some crazy adventures because she would like to piss off the customers. So one time she she cleaned the floor
Mm-hmm.
and she didn't put the cleaning sign saying it was wet. So
Mm-hmm.
the lady decided to like run through it with her cart, flipped over. There was a baby in the cart. So the cart flipped on her and the baby flipped on out of the cart.
Uh-huh.
So then she starts screaming through the aisles saying for us to call ambulance because she's really hurt and whatever. So the ambulance comes. There's nothing wrong with her. I guess she just wanted to put on a show. But then the manager goes talk to her and she's like, why did you fall for? And then the lady's like, excuse me, the floor was wet. She's like, well, yeah, can't you see the floor is wet? And she's like, no, there was no wet sign on the floor. You have to put the wet sign.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to the back of the room, brings out the wet sign, puts it there, and she's like, there's the wet sign. And then
Oh my God.
then she comes to the front where I was, and she's like, I'm suing you. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't do anything. Why are you suing me for? Sue her. And then she's like, well, you're going to have to write a statement. And what I'm saying, you're going to write down because I was the victim and you weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And then the manager was like, you're not going to sign that. We're going to write our own statement saying that I had the floor sign out and that she slipped and she removed the floor sign and then put it back. I'm like, listen, I'm not getting in the middle of you two people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling the manager what happened. And then, yeah, she was gone after a while.
Oh, I believe that. I've had my fair share of customers. There was one I pissed off really bad. I went to the back room to do some work, and we have a deaf associate working there,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously he can't communicate because he's deaf.
Yeah.
And this lady was screaming at him. She's like, "Yo, you stupid! How come you can't hear me? I'm trying to call you, blah blah blah." And I hear her screaming from the back room, so I went run into the photo center. I'm like, "Can I help you, ma'am?" And she's like, yeah, this donkey here is not responding to me. When she said this donkey, my face turned so red. I'm like this to her. Don't you know he's deaf? And then she's like, no, how would I know? I'm like, ma'am, how stupid do you have to be? When he doesn't respond to you the first time, doesn't that give you a hint?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, no, but, people sometimes don't hear. Yeah, but if he doesn't respond to you right away, turn his head, it kind of gives you the indication he's deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I'm like, ma'am, you should be ashamed of yourself. How entitled are you? How could you be like that? You know what she did? She shut up.
Yeah, of course.
You left. I defend the people I work with because I work with them, right? Except for one or two people that deserve to get what they got, but yeah, like people up here in the upper Toronto or greater Toronto area, Vaughan, whatever, they're very entitled, so they come into these stores thinking that they're the boss, they can do whatever they want, right? Thank God I don't work there no more because I think I would lose my mind. Like, I have cuts and scars, I have everything on my arms because of working there. I had one customer. I'm going to share one more before I hand it off to you. It was my second year, Boxing Day. Okay, I was doing an evening shift. You know how Boxing Day people are a little.
Yeah.
So there was this big high-end freaking soundbar on sale. Okay, some dude, he was high as hell and drunk as hell. I don't even know if you can combine the two. He comes up to me, he's like, oh, I need the soundbar. I said, I'm sorry, sir, we don't have it. It's sold out. If you didn't come in the morning, we don't have it. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, you're full of shit. I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, this is Walmart. This is one of the biggest corporations in Canada. You're telling me you don't have it? I'm like, yeah, we only had 5 and they were gone first thing in the morning. He's like, no, you have it in the back room. I said, sir, I don't have any. He was starting to get close up to my face. I'm like, sir, step back. Bro, this guy, he makes a fist.
Oh.
And he's like, if you don't give me my soundbar, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm like, sir, if you touch me, we're going to have a problem. And then he's like, no, I can touch you if I want. I'm like, no, that's not how life works. We had to call the cops. And the management team had to hold him down because he was going to start a fight with me.
Wow.
But knowing me, I'm a peaceful man. I just stepped back. I'm like, yeah, you do whatever you want. And then I had to be with the police for an hour and a half, giving them my statement because of what the guy was doing.
Yeah.
Worst Boxing Day of my life. And I told my manager from that day on, I said, I'm never, ever, ever working Boxing Day again.
Yeah, I don't like Boxing Day.
No way. And me working in Walmart kind of built me as a person to like to deal with certain situations, like how to deal with entitled morons, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you've dealt
Mhm.
with many of them, right?
Yeah.
So you know where I'm coming from, right? It's I don't know, just working retail is really hard. It's like I give kudos to those people who actually do work in retail because
Mhm.
they go in and they grind every day, right?
Exactly.
Not like
Yeah.
not like how we are now with our jobs or loving life, but shit, that was crazy.
Yeah. I,
You have
I wouldn't work retail again.
no
Never.
way.
Never.
Just a couple of weeks. Oh, a couple of weeks. Oh my god! I think we're still in freaking March. Um, a couple of months ago, my mother came up to me and she's like, "Oh, do you want to work at Walmart again?" I'm like, "Are you mad? I don't want to go back there. I left there for a reason." Like, yeah, they
Yeah.
asked me if you want to come back. I'm like, no. I'm like, if they want me, they're gonna pay me double what I was actually getting because apparently I was their best associate in electronics.
Oh.
That was true because I carried that freaking department for a long time. They apparently wanted me back, but they wouldn't admit it because I went there last weekend and I was like,
Mhm.
"So how's electronics?" Blah blah blah. I can see there's certain things I've done before I quit that are still there. Like
Wow.
there's some signs for movies that came out last year August. I think it was I know Avengers Endgame came out in August, and there was like another. It was like a romantic movie. I remember putting those things up. And I
Mhm.
went there last weekend and I told the girl who I trained and helped build her confidence to work in retail because that girl was scared. I'm like, uh, why is it still here? She's like, oh yeah, the vendor just says whatever, just leave it. I'm like, have they gotten that lazy that they don't want to do nothing? She's like, yeah, he just doesn't care. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a picture of this. Click. Took a picture of my work that's still there, and everything's upside down. Oh my god! I left that place like it was like a clean house, and now everything is all upside down. I'm like, oh my god, I can't deal with this. But I still have my days where I want to go back there and work because I worked there for so long, right?
Yeah.
8 years,
Yeah.
8 years of my life. So I finished high school, and I was working there and going to college at the same time. So it's like, how the hell did I balance it? I have no idea. Right? What about you? Anything
Mhm.
on you?
Mm. I also cash. Cash is very stressful. Like I
Mm-hmm.
rather work on the floor than work in cash because cash people like they think they're entitled to get everything free because it's not scanning or like they're like, can you hurry up? I've been waiting here for 5 minutes while the person is like price matching 500 things in their cart. They're like, what can I do? I'm like one person. What
Mm-hmm.
am I supposed to do for you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so annoying. I hated cash. Like that was the thing I hated the most.
You know how many times they've asked me to go on cash for cash support?
Mm.
You know what I used to do? I got in trouble one day because of this. I used to go to the front. I told the CSM or whatever, the manager there at the front, I said, I'm not doing this. And she's like, why? It's because I don't know cash. Someone brings me oranges. What the hell am I going to put? What code? I don't know what
Yeah.
code is apple, oranges, bananas. I don't know. And she's like, it's okay. Just go around. Make a 360 and go back. Oh, that's what I did, but I took my sweet time. I went all around the store, pretending to the zone, which was clean, straight
Mm-hmm.
back to my department. I get a phone call from my manager. Scott, can you please come to the office? I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I go back to the office. I get written up, okay? But it wasn't like a
Mm-hmm.
physical write up, it was a verbal warning. But there was another manager in the office too. And he's like, okay, I'm giving you a verbal warning because you didn't follow instructions of going cash, blah, 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 blah. And I told him straight
Mm-hmm.
up to his face, I'm like, first of all, it's not my job to go on cash. I'm in a high end a section of the store, oh shit, that needs attention. Almost dropped my mic. That it needs attention. If someone would come in, steal something, they're gonna blame me, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, no, that's not an excuse. Whatever. It was a verbal warning. Whatever." One day, I actually did get written up. Like, I actually had a piece of paper that I had to sign, and I'm like, "I'm sorry. I didn't know." The thing is, what I got written up for wasn't my fault. That the night. So basically, I'll start from the beginning. The one night I was supposed to work, right? But I gave my shift away to somebody else because I needed to do something that night. So that night, there was 2 guys working, and a customer came in, picked up a Sony XRSS speaker, one of those high-end expensive speakers. He took it, he went to the garden center, opened up the package, took the speaker, left the box. Right?
Wow.
What an idiot. Why wouldn't you just take the damn box with you? Anyways.
Yeah.
He left the box in the garden center, and they found it, and they were doing a stolen report. The next day I come in, they called me to the office, and they're like, "Oh, we're writing you up for not having aggressive hospitality." I'm like, "Why are you writing me up for?" I'm like, "I wasn't here that day." "Oh, but here on the schedule it says you were." I'm like, "No, on the schedule it's updated that this person took my shift." And then he's like, "Oh no, you know what? The head office said that we have to coach everybody in that department," which is total bullshit because there was one person who didn't get coached. Everybody else did except for one person. And I told him, it wasn't her, that from this point on, I lost all respect for this company and for you. And I'm like, "I'm sorry, this is my first write-up. I've never done anything to harm or do anything to the company." And then he looks at me like, "This isn't your first write-up." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, that other manager who's a Dumbo, yeah, he wrote you up." I'm like, "Wrote me up?" I'm like, "He gave me a verbal. That doesn't count." He's like, "Oh, no, he made it count." I'm like, "You stupid son of a gun. You did that to me. I'm gonna screw him bad really, really good." But anyways, he doesn't work for the company no more. He deserves what he got. But yeah, that's fun working at Walmart. You get in trouble for no reason. Even if it's not your fault, you still get written up for it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've heard bad things about Walmart.
Oh, trust me. You've shopped there, right?
Yes.
So you know how things are sort of run over there, right?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share? Anything that comes to mind?
Usually I try to stay away from like trouble and everything. I try to be like really hardworking and very friendly because, you know, I'm a customer too and I know how I like to be treated. So I've never had like really bad customer experiences, to be honest.
So what was your main job at your job?
Like now or before?
Before.
So before, actually I worked at Dollarama for like 3 years. So I did the stocking and the shelves, but then like things happened. So I actually went on vacation that time. So I left for like 2.5 months. So when I came back, it was really hard to find a job. So I had like a seasonal job working with Santa. I used to take pictures and then help them cash out and everything. But after that, like now I have my permanent job. So I'm a pharmacy assistant. Stressful, but it's good.
All right. Well, I have more stories, but I think we're going to run out of time. So that's it from us. So thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. I'm trying to get Jason on, but he keeps on dipping on me. I'm going to beat his ass one day, but that's something else to figure out. But anyways, yeah, that's it. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching. I'll see you soon. Be good.
Bye.